So I just called my sales manager. I had like 83 leads that were just sent, so I had to refresh it. You refresh it by updating the date, just to let you know on Sales Rabbit. So on Sales Rabbit, you'll go like, you'll say from and then to. So you go to 2 first, because from won't let you refresh it until you go to 2. Then you put the day today, and then you go to from, and you put today's date on from, and then it'll refresh it in the Sales Rabbit. He just taught me to do that. It was pretty cool. And there's like 83 or something leads that came through, so I was kind of going around drilling these leads, and then he taught me how to clover leaf, and I was like knocking on doors. It was kind of crazy. So we got a fire somewhere. Oh, there's Kitty. Linda's still sleeping. All right, guys. Act 2. You guessed it. The energy flows around, right? Dallas Cowboys. NFL. AT&T Stadium in a place called Arlington. We're not going to the game. We're going to the game. We're going to the stadium. We're not going in the stadium. The reason I know this is because I've been doing rideshare for about 4 years, and you know the story about when I was working Uber and Lyft. I made $700 in one night. $700 working Uber and Lyft. $700. It's a true story. I started at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I finished around midnight. I worked my full shift for Uber, which was 12-hour shift, and then I switched over to Lyft, and then I did a thing called cleanup at the end of the night to make my other 200 or 300. So I made like 300 with one app, 300 with the other. Well, it was like 300 with one app, 200 with the other, and then clean up, I don't know, 100 or 2. And that's just, you know, offering rides to get out of the stadium because it gets so crazy. Dallas Cowboys are tonight at AT&T Stadium. I have it on my calendar. It's going to be, I want to say, who are they playing? I want to say Raiders or something like that. Yeah, we'll back down. So the reason I stumbled is because it's no longer Los Angeles Raiders. It's the Las Vegas Raiders. And they are going to be at AT&T Stadium in Arlington tonight. AT&T Stadium. I'm going to be helping with that. I've been doing rideshare for a long time, so I understand this stuff. They're going to be playing tonight. I won't be at the stadium, but I'll be helping people get home. Las Vegas Raiders at AT&T Stadium playing the one and only Dallas Cowboys. So I'll be in the area helping out. We're gonna do a whole vlog that's gonna be Act 2. So I'm moving on from the door-to-door sales. It's just too tight right now. Financially, I don't have the extra money. I'd love to do it. It's too risky. I gotta not do the door-to-door, but I am gonna be helping out with AT&T Stadium. So, okay. And it's gonna be interesting. So.
All right, made some authentic tacos, Aztec-style tacos. And I'm gonna cut some lime right here and spread it on there. Then I'll put some type of spice on it. All right, got the lime right here. Gonna spread the lime on the taco. Put the lime on the taco. See the thing right here, this right there. Then I'm gonna put some lime on the taco right here. Put some lime on it. Put some lime. Aha, it's really me. All right. Then we're going to add some Sonic salsa. Get real authentic. Get that squirting out there. Gotta use the knife. There we go. Sonic sauce. You gotta get the Sonic sauce on there, all good. Very good. This is my Dallas Cowboy tacos. Got some tacos. Got that cheese at Aldi's right there. So that's a Havarti cheese. It's a jalapeno Havarti at Aldi's. I'm gonna take a bite of it here and see how it is. This is a Dallas Cowboy street tacos. That's some good tacos. And since we'll be celebrating the Dallas Cowboys, hopefully they'll be winning. depending on Prescott, so I'll let him. But we'll also be celebrating with some ruffle potato size queso cheese right here. Yum, yum, yum. This is what it looks like right here, some chips. Put some chips on there, make it even more authentic.
And there's Slinda brushing her teeth.
Look at that, sweetie. They're out there boating. They're on their boat. Isn't that wonderful? One of the big problems, of course, with Linda is the license, keeping up with her driver's license. It's kind of difficult at times. Also, another thing about Sonic is if you ever order in the app, it's half price drinks and slushies. So half price drinks and slushies in the app. Well, looks like some people are fishing. That's Lake Worth of Texas. That's Linda's nose. There's Kitty. We love you, Kitty.
Like he was trying to hit like.
Okay, shh. I'm vlogging.
Of course.
Yes, you're the kitty. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Recommendation. A guy on a vlogger. His name's Wendigoon. He got millions of vlogs, views. Millions of views. He's covering Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy. He does it for 5 hours and gets through the book. It's very, very good for all English majors out there. Harvard, everybody needs to be studying this guy. He did it all on YouTube. Wendigoon, he's covering Blood Meridian. It's an amazing vlog so far. I've been trying to watch it all the way through, and it's very good. It covers the detail. I've read the book. It's very hard to understand. This guy's a great interpreter. Something that does not understand its own addiction is wild. Because the addiction is the wilderness. And we don't understand the wilderness, but we claim that we do. And we do not. So the addiction is what makes her wild. Because of the lack of understanding. No one can understand addiction. So that's why they go wild. But on the other side, she's tame. Because she understands her sobriety. So when you understand God, that's when you start to become tame. And sobriety kicks in. And you begin to live a well-adjusted life, you know? So the understanding is of good. You get all your knowledge from God. So you can only understand God. Everything else will just be wild and chaos. If you don't ask God to guide you. That's kind of some of the message of the Bible is that you're asking for guidance and trust in the Lord.
call you right back, okay? I'll call you right back. Shouldn't be too much of a change. So how I see this YouTube thing is simply this. The world has a story. The story is constantly going. If you're brave enough to keep the camera on long enough, then the story will unfold. You can speak all you want. And it makes the same amount of difference as not speaking. It's about the same. It's fun to listen to someone's voice. I always like to listen to people speak. But they tell the same story we all tell, regardless of how fancy their diction is and how much Shakespeare training they've had when they speak, or punk rock training, or coolness, or whatever it is that they use to tell their story. But regardless, you get to choose what you want to show. Now, I once had a history teacher. He had some brain problems. He's a black guy, and I was at Pascal, and he was older. He was very intelligent, and he took me on after my other history teacher, who was a white guy, kicked me out of class for saying something smart aleck about the Vietnam War. So whenever I joined the other guy's class, the black guy, he was older, and he was very intelligent, and he told us all, and he also had some brain problems because there was something wrong with him. But regardless, he told everyone that the most you ever do in life is observe. And I think there's some truth to that. I'm pretty sure that he knew what he was talking about. It's the most you usually do is observe. So as long as you know how to observe, then you're the best filmmaker in the world. This is my first one for GP. Remember how I initial everything? Looks like you can't go through this way. C-spot relax. Passport and good to go. Passports are It's like a really good place to set up a church too. HopeChurch.com, right over there. Other side of Motel 6. HopeChurch.com. Right over there. It's a great area. All right, this is number 2 for the day. For GP. Mirror, they're getting ready for the Edge haunted house over there. It says, "Love outside the walls," and has a butterfly on it, and it says Mark 10:45 right there next to it. Loving God, loving others, serving both. It's a good church. Kind of the area Lee Harvey Oswald probably lived in before he moved to Dallas.
Now, what I've seen of number 83, who will be starting the game again, I don't want to put him on the street. I want to keep him around. And plus, tonight's another opportunity for him to play teams, and you can analyze that film. So I think I'm going to keep 6 of them. I think...
where are you going to go short?
So, well, you know... There's something... Every time I want to say, okay, I'll keep 3 running backs.
Right.
But are these the 3 running backs that I want? I've got a guy coming off an injury, and another guy coming off 2 years' worth of an injury, and another guy who is, I think of more as a specialty player. I love him, Deuce Vaughn. Love the pick, but I don't know that he's your 20 carry a game running back. So, and I like Malik Davis, so now I'm saying, well, maybe I'll only keep 3 tight ends. I do think that you can. What's McEwen's status? Is he vested? He might have been around long enough. I think you could probably release him and sign him back,
right?
And elevate him when you wanted to.
But there's something kind of funny with guaranteed contracts and things like that.
That's analytics. I don't know anything.
No, I don't know anything about the analytics or the contracts. I just watch the players and say, I think this guy could play.
Right. Well, and that, as you are saying, that you and I always really enjoyed that, because there are people who are going to, and McCarthy says it, there's going to be guys tonight who make you go, whoa.
Right.
In a good way and a bad way.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, the runners, I'm interested in seeing the runners, but I think that we're going to see Lipke more than anybody else.
Sure.
I'm really interested in Awesome Richards.
Me too.
And I'm interested in how many positions he plays.
Right.
They've got Farniak starting at center again. I didn't like based on all my years of scouting, I didn't like what I saw of Brock Hoffman at center in week 1.
I was not a fan of that either.
And so I thought Farniak did a better job, and the fact that he's starting at center, that's of interest to me. And I don't know how many other decisions they have to make, really.
Always appreciate the time, Brad. Thank you very much. Sure enjoyed the game.
We got to have an analytics discussion.
I look forward to the analytics discussion. Absolutely. All right, there he goes. Voice of the Cowboys, Brad Sham, as we continue to broadcast live here inside the Brad Sham radio booth, but we're about to hand it off to him. Kickoff is around the corner. My guy Broadus and the Woolly Bully Zach Wolchuk will have you covered at halftime and in the post game. But with kickoff around the corner, we pass it over to Brad and Babe and Christy. They got you covered the rest of the way. Cowboys and Raiders coming up next. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
Kelly, who said that? Shoes?
Yeah, it's me running shoes. Where were you yesterday?
Mr. B Food Store. They do milk, bread, and tortillas, beer, wine, and grocery. Right next to Skinner's. And here's their sign. Mr. Beer's Food Store, beer, milk, and hot and then sandwiches. Cool. Peach bite, that's what that says. Pretty funny.
Show made very clear. Christy Scales was the sideline reporter in the Bowl Championship Series at North Dakota State, played in when Trey Lance was the quarterback. And so what does that have to do with lifting? Well,
all right, we're going to do this, try it out for a little bit, and then we're going to head off to DFW Horizons to build pin up. We might go by Arlington by the end of the night, maybe. I don't know. Depends on how I feel. I may not go by the Cowboy game. I don't know. Maybe at the end of the night, maybe, because I know that there's stragglers and stuff like that. So maybe not. I don't know. And then it's a long Saturday. It started like 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm pretty tired, but I'll go by the airport, finish that up, and then I'll see how I feel after the airport. I'll see if I can, get the second wind to go by the AT&T Stadium. I may not. I don't know. I'll have to see how I feel. Head over to the airport about my thing about prayer, because I haven't touched a cigarette in 10 years. No vaping, no cigarettes or anything. Because I met this dude that had his own church in his home. It was in Maine. And he prayed with me. And then I found the taste of cigarettes disgusting. So now, I haven't touched a cigarette for over 10 years. Pretty cool, huh? Thing to
by Mozzie Smith.
All right, to the airport. Nolan Catholic School. If you want your kid going to Catholic school. But usually it's Catholic people that do that. In most cases. To Linda at Sonic does need to be investigated for humanity's sake. So there were some people from a certain nation that wanted to nitpick what was going on with Linda. And there was two of them, two ladies. And what happened was this. Linda had said a few exchanged words, so they knew that they could nitpick and nitpick and nitpick. And what they ended up doing with her was she had some water or something, because I had filmed in the video, you could see the water that was on the ground, because water was part of what was going on. And she had spilled some of the water, which got onto someone's purse that worked there. And that person found the opportunity to tell on Linda really quick and then get her fired. So it's sad that they have to be that regulated and crazy. And I had to deal with it at the bank. When I worked at the bank, I had to deal with it for a very long time, for like more than 4.5 years, all the time. Until finally I decided just to go ahead and leave. Because I had signed so many papers threatening my own job over and over and over again, that it was kind of it was hurting me, So I finally decided to leave. But in this case, they found this something to do with water that spilled on a purse. And so she moved the purse so the purse wouldn't get saturated. And I know she was telling the truth, because her stuff was saturated with the water too, because it was wet. I had washed it when we got home, because I hand wash everything. So it hurt Linda. So Linda took to drinking afterwards. And that's not the right way to go either. None of us are perfect. And then I had to hurry up and get there before the Pharisees and Sadducees, broke out their regulators, you know what I mean? we're in a lost world. It's not much different than Rome. So whenever you point your finger at somebody and you pull that Judas Iscariot, you'll have to deal with the master in your next life. And you don't want to deal with that person, because when Jesus Christ returns, his white robe will be bathed in blood. And that's what it says in Revelations. The reason why they say the white robe is because the white robe represents purity and innocence. It does in the Bible many times. That robe will be bathed in blood, because he'll no longer be showing mercy at that point in the afterlife of Revelations. Because the ending of the Bible is a very, very interesting ending. It's not the Sermon of the Mount. It's a story where there's an army of God that returns to get justice on the evil ones of the Pharisees and Sadducees, the ones pointing their fingers and blaming and accusing so that they could have their high of power. It's an interesting ending. It's called Revelations. They want me to take a coffee break. Consider taking a coffee break. I'll consider that. The reason I mention Revelations at time is because it makes you think right before you point your finger at who you think is someone that's going to weaken your status of power. And all this has to do with one thing and one thing only. What Judas went after. Money. He went after 30 silver coins to point that finger at his own Messiah, because it was God's will, and that's the way God wanted to present it so that we'd understand stuff. Everything Jesus did was a learning lesson so that we'd understand. You don't want to be Judas Iscariot, for he is surely doomed to burn in hell. Basically like this, don't point your finger at someone that's hurting and that needs the work, and don't tattletale. Help them instead. That's how Jesus wants us to be. He wants us to help one another. And listen, I've done it. I've done it myself, I have to admit. And I've had to ask forgiveness for being judgmental, just like we've all been like Judas, and it's horrible that we can be that way. You know, Bob Dylan one time was playing music in Abbey Hall or somewhere. He was playing it somewhere in the UK, and someone yelled out in the audience, "Judas!" And Dylan got up to the microphone and said, "I don't believe you." Bob Dylan's music was so powerful that people cared about where the direction of the music went. And because he pulled out the electric instruments and stuff, they blamed him for being Judas, for not sticking with the acoustic. Now, this is kind of funny, but it's true. People point at each other and call each other Judas, which we're not supposed to do either. It's hard to say who's right or wrong. As long as you know that you're to blame in the mix of this broken world, then you can ask for forgiveness and move on, which is what we have to do. My message is my most important thing. It's not the money or power or the amount of views I get and the mistakes that I make, because I'm not perfect and I have to ask for forgiveness for every day. Part of this is kind of like a confession in a way, because none of us are perfect. I'm not really confessing to the world. It's not a confession to the world or anything. It's not that. But what else is anything really, you know? Privately, I speak to the Lord, and I share this with you that I do. Privately, I do. But I don't always show that. And sometimes it bothers me whenever I show Linda and I praying at the dinner table. And I'm only doing that to let you know that that's what we should do. And I don't always film it. Sometimes we pray in silent, and sometimes we pray together without it being filmed or videoed. But I wanted to share my life with you because I had nothing else to do. It's like what they say about a man that starts to sing because he has nothing else to do, so he starts to sing. That's exactly the right quote for that. And then I remember my God, I remember Jesus, and I remember the things that he did for us. And you know, he did it in story. He told a story so that we'd understand it better. That's all. All right, y'all have a good day, and I'll talk to you about everything later. Just pray for Linda and her struggles with Sonic, and you know, we're also kind of looking for a church, but we actually have our own church together, you know, because church is sharing the belief in Jesus Christ with another person. That's what church really is. All right, amen.
Bye.